Okay guys, in this video I'm going to go over an introduction to stationary points by going over a fairly basic question, just so you can understand the principles involved in answering the question. So what you'll normally get in a question is just an equation like this, where you've got y equals a third x cubed plus 5x squared plus 16x plus 14 over 3. Now you won't usually get a graph, and often the question might be a bit more complicated than just find the stationary points. But in this example, that's what it asks you to do. It wants you to find two coordinates of the stationary points. And here, as you can see, these two dots symbolise the stationary points on this curve. And yes, this curve is the drawing of that equation. Yes, this is the mapping out of that curve. Now, the reason these two dots are stationary points is because those are the points on the curve where the gradient equals 0. You can see this by drawing a tangent to that curve, and these are the 2 points on the curve where the tangent has a gradient of 0. If, let's say, I drew a tangent at this point, I'd have a gradient of around 2. If I drew a tangent at this point, I'd have a gradient of around -2. But if you meet in the middle where the gradient is 0, that is a stationary point. So on this curve of this x cubed graph, there are two stationary points. Now we need to go about finding them. So how can we do that? Well, of course, we need to differentiate this curve. And differentiating this curve, or finding dy by dx standing for, if you like, the gradient of the curve, will be very helpful. So first, with our original curve, let's differentiate it. And this is what we get when we differentiate it. We get x squared plus 10x plus 16. So what can we do here? Well, we know that the gradient on a stationary point is 0. So if we set dy by dx equal to 0, then we can find every single point on the curve which has a gradient of 0. So let's do that. We've put dy by dx equal to 0. So x squared plus 10x plus 16 now equals 0. So if we just solve that, we get x equals -8 and x equals -2. And those are the x values for those are the x coordinates for the two stationary points. We just need to find the y value for each, and then we found both stationary points. So let's have a look at that curve again. We've got x equals -8, x equals -2. As you can see, x equals -2 will be that one, and x equals -0 will be that one. So how can we find the y value? Well, we've got the y equation here, and just by substituting the x value that we have, we can find the y value. In fact, any x value on this graph, let's say at this point when x equals, 3, if we put 3 into that equation, we'd come out with the y value. So if we know that the x value for this point here is -2, by substituting -2 into this equation for every x, you'll then find out what y equals. And if you do the same for -8, and you substitute -8 for every point, everywhere it says x, then you'll find what y equals at that point, and hence find the coordinates. So I'll show you my working just to make it clearer. If we have x equals -8, we can put -8 every point it says x. So if y equals a third x cubed plus 5x squared plus 16x plus 14 over 3, then if x is -8, y equals a third lots of -8 cubed plus 5 lots of -8 squared plus 16 lots of -8 plus 14 over 3. And if we calculate that, you'll get y equals 26. That will be one coordinate, -8, 26, as one stationary point. Now, if we're finding the other stationary point, we know that x equals -2. We just need to find the y value. So again, we're going to put -2 in every place for x, and we'll end up with y equals -10. That does give us the answer already, with the coordinates of the stationary points being -8, 26 and -2, -10. Now, does this look right for the graph? Well, the point here would be -2, -10, and the point here would be -8, 26. Now that does look right. That does look like the right proportions. Yeah, that's how you'd calculate it. Now, hopefully this question has been useful. It should be a good basis for you to improve on this topic. It's just a nice introduction question, just to get you understanding the core principle. So now after this, if there's, say, a more advanced question, you'll be able to maybe have a go at it and have a good idea on how to solve it. But yeah, I hope this question's helped. Please let me know how you found it. Cheers.